Howdy, stranger. Welcome to the castover extravaganza. We got Shambler here, who's doing his darndest to tilt me by moving his workers very slowly. And then we have a newcomer. We have Londier. Now, this guy always made me think of London with his name, but actually, his name is pronounced in a French way. So this suspiciously French man will be playing Terran against the Shambler Zerg. This is actually a series of games that these two have played together. And this is the first one in the list of replays that was sent to me, which allows me to assume, indeed, that it is the first game between them. And going up against Shambler's Zerg is a tall order for a newcomer, so we'll see how he does. He's obviously going to go ahead and scout as he puts his barracks down. We'll see how that shapes up. I know Londier as a man who likes himself some matadors, so I actually suspect we will have that to look at. Here I'm just confirming that, indeed, Shambler was random. So there's a chance he was not Zerg. But as his, perhaps his best race? Perhaps, up there with his best race, and tied with Protoss or something? I don't know. He's obviously been practicing Terran a bit and getting better at that. But he has an affinity for Zerg the Shambler. He's working on a campaign, in fact, that you play as Zerg within. So, within which you play as Zerg. And that Mason will indeed be moved away. He might actually get this kill. Oh, not quite. Could have maybe escaped. Or tried to commit to that after it went back to mining or something to that effect. But an attempt was made, for sure. Looks like this worker will fare pretty much no differently. And in fact, technically, Londier being able to... What's going to happen? Yeah, nothing. Oh, never mind. There he is. Hi. I'm just going to let that happen? Dude, just stim your Maverick. You can repair it later. There you go. Get that cliff advantage, boy. All right, so K-Room going down. Some Quasis out. Quasis are much cheaper now. They're 50 minerals a pop instead of 75. And they are individually not very significant, but they're definitely going to be more than enough to 1v1 the Mavericks. Harakan is being trained, so he's clearly a man of culture. And what did he do? He stimmed this Maverick. Okay. He's just trying to catch up with his buddy so he can sync up there. Maybe put a modicum of pressure onto these units. But of course, I mean, the Quasilisk technically does have less range than the Maverick, but the attack speed is a bit more in the favor of the Quasilisk. And there's no micro being had over here for Londier. He will go ahead and stim. He should be able to pick off this low HP. Oh, he's actually falling back, even though he's... I think he's well within his ability to kill this unit, but... And there's a little bit of a lackluster micro over there where he could have maybe pulled it back and started at least scouting to see if this base went down, right? But that's okay. He's his early aggression definitely catching the Shambler off guard here. So he'll send up some Harakans. Obviously, Ackmeds are pretty solid, but at this point we are seeing even more Quasis. Actually has a rotation of workers over here, so there's a chance that the Shambler doesn't respect this enough, especially with his units going to meet the Ackmeds. And, oh shit! Oh, shit! Like ships in the night, boys. Neither player reacting. I'm not even sure if they saw each other, honestly. This is Maim Street by DF. I didn't actually introduce the map earlier. So that's very funny. Now Ackmed will go ahead and start tickling this base. There's only one Quasilisk. There's two more on the way, but Shambler actually cannot respond to this, so this is going to be... There's an opportunity here for this to mass up quite well. He should obviously move the Maverick back. Instead, he's stimmed it and then done a little bit of tickling. Definitely didn't need to do that. This is now below a half HP. Could have stacked this up a lot better. I think Londier could look back at this and think, oh yeah, I could definitely have played this a bit better or whatever. So, he's recognizing here that at the very least he's going to go ahead and do a lot of damage to that. May make the Shambler a bit spooked by that particular case and think to himself, hey, I might get owned, so I better watch out. We do have... some extra money here for Londier. He could go for a Fulcrum pretty soon, or he could go for something else. He's actually canceling out those Mavericks and getting himself some Cyprians. It's been only Quasis so far, but there's a decent stack of them now, so it's going to take a more dedicated force than just a couple of Mavericks. However, there are 4 Mavericks in that bunker, so that could land over here, maybe do some harassment. If you land back here, you're actually within range to attack the Quasrock, so there's that. But at this point, honestly... The Shambler's gotten a bit unlucky with some of the movement that he's had in this game, but I think he's going to see this bunker. He should be able to recognize that there's a bunker over here. Yep, there you go. He's figured it out. And his movement over here is a bit... He's still actually not super interested. Now there's two Masons over here that are going to scout out that attack, and there is nothing back at home here. Cyprians can definitely do a decent amount of damage. But yeah, most of the Quasis didn't end up going anywhere. Now, the pre-stim is pretty good if he can focus the fire, maybe do some kiting or whatever. He can definitely add some more value here, but at this point, I think the Kagra is spread too far, the creep for those uninitiated. And now, yeah, he's just going to go ahead and tickle this this bunker to death. And it's pretty, you know, it's going to survive long enough to actually kill off the rest of these quasis. So there will still be some action over here. And there's a stack of quasis over here with a single Ackmed. If there was better positioning for that, you might be in a pretty good spot. If he just A-moves this base over here, he's going to cause the Shambler some headaches. But instead, it looks like the Shambler is going to be the one who's going to go ahead and fight first. No micro, no reaction over here. But even so, obviously the quasi is getting absolutely shredded by the Cyprians. That could have been a lot better for Londier, and he wouldn't have even lost the 2 Cyprians that he did lose had he reacted a little bit there, but it looks like he was gunning forward over here. He's killed, it looks like, 3 workers. So, okay, not too bad. You know, you're managing your opponent's economy. They do have 2 bases to your 1, so if you're in Londier's shoes, you're thinking, oh shit, you know, I'm kind of in an awkward spot here. I don't have as much income as my opponent. It doesn't even really look like Londier is saturating his base too much. There you go. He's starting to train up some more workers. And he is getting some Cyclops. Cyclops are going to be pretty helpful versus the quasi spam. This whole time, we haven't really been touching too heavily on what the Shambler's been doing economically speaking. He's got some decent map control. He's definitely got a lot of idle workers. This is clearly maybe a warm-up game for him. He's not playing to his usual level, I don't think. But now this infantry stack is going to walk straight down Maim Street. Unfortunately, Ackmed's a bit asynced from the fight. He will get a couple of hits off at least, so some quasi's very, very low now. And the Cyclops there actually taking a few extra shots, more than expected, perhaps, by Mr. Shambler. He tries to focus that one down. It doesn't end up going down. So a little bit over half HP on that one. And we're starting to see the battles take a little bit longer, although when you're only building quasis versus all of the crowd control that you see here. Ooh, frontlining with the Cyclops is a bit dangerous. Yeah, he's actually going to go ahead and pull that one back, let the front line deal some good damage there. Even saves it once again, so good unit control coming out of Londier relative to what we saw before. He's improving in the middle of the game, guys. He's figuring it out. Look at his APM, dude. He's higher than the Shambler. Big fan of that. So there is a Hydrock Den now and an Excisant that's now starting to be mined. So he will have a bit more gas income. You should be able to see some sort of response. But the time waits for no man and certainly no Shambler. And it looks like, in fact, the angle of attack there that was taken, especially with the Cyclops being pulled back and stuff, definitely helped out the Shambler there because the Cyprians couldn't use their line splash to do nearly as much damage. This should buy him a little bit of time. Now he can train some other units, but it looks like it's just going to be workers. He wants to maybe spike economically. There are a couple of Hydras here, but yeah, in this particular case, oh my god, he's actually going to get one of those quasis. Unfortunately, it's just a couple of Mavericks here for reinforcements because there are 2 Mavericks and a Cyclops in that bunker. I'm actually really surprised there wasn't a bigger force that was sent in with this, and he once again just sort of paths his bunker directly into pain. However, if he lands it over here, which it looks like he's interested in doing, it should get a little bit of damage taken care of. It really depends on whether the Hydra can block it. That's the question here. It looks like it will not. There you go. Gets the landing off. No reaction yet from the Shambler. He is going to see now that his unit is under duress. And there you go. A couple of workers already going down. Oh, just barely doesn't kill another worker, but there you go. One of them gets rallied in anyway. If there were double Cyclops into this bunker, that would be even more deadly because of the passive. But, you know, overall, somewhat expensive. Tactical lag. Apparently there was some lag. We don't catch those in replays, obviously. So there you go. And, Londier pulling out all the tricks. Still on 1 base, though, and I think you can pretty easily see that just a couple of Ackmeds here and there are not going to do it, not going to cut it. He's doing a good job of, like, keeping Shambler's forces at home, but because he's still not fully saturated... Oh, maybe now he's fully saturated, looking at his worker count of 27. But I see only 1 worker on this ridge, for example, and then we haven't gotten this capped, so his gas income is going to be worse than the Shambler's for sure, especially considering he is on 1 base. So that's a pretty big deal. He has this command center down here, but he hasn't transferred any workers down, so he should definitely try to fix that problem. And yeah, overall, I'm thinking the Shambler probably gets a good flank out over here. Just a single Cyclops in that bunker should be enough with repair to zone out the enemy attack, but then they can like kind of move down here and stuff. So yeah, it's called Maim Street for a reason, dude. DF was kind of sadistic with this map. I'm not gonna lie. I like that Bob's Guns has doors over fucking nothing too. That's good. There you go. An instant reaction here. He can definitely repair that. He doesn't realize yet, I think, that he can also maybe respond to, or staff it with an extra set of units. But yeah, at this point, Ackmed ain't having none of it. He's chasing down that Hydra. He actually got that one just down to 2 HP. That's pretty good. Obviously, we like to see the damage over time from the burn, but it doesn't get a crazy amount of... It doesn't get an insane amount of a response just yet. But here we go. Vulture out. Some spider mines being put down by the looks of it. There you go. Queued up the orders. We do have a Goliath out, so that's always useful. And now transferring some workers over. So perhaps Londier has responded enough such that the Shambler isn't super economically ahead. He is taking a third base, and he still has some pretty good positional awareness of where his opponent is, right? There's obviously all this stuff where the Hydras shut down the Vulture moving out. And now there's some more units over here, a stack of Hydras. They look very hungrily moving towards this this exposed natural with no defenses. So this is definitely going to be a sudden surprise. But even with all of these Hydras, it's mostly the workers that are going to be the juicy targets. Kind of unlikely that he kills the command center, but he's not responding with his military, so actually there is time for this command center to sustain some damage. It's not going to be enough, of course. We can tell that pretty easily. And as the cops roll up and disrupt my castover, I'll just remind you that I'm drinking not coffee right now. And we're back. So the Hydras, they're getting stuff done. They're disrupting the economy. They're actually whittling away at the army because the response time is a bit low. But here comes some Ackmeds. You know, I think Londier is not a million miles away from where he needs to be winning the match. Because Shambler played this early game really sloppily. If we're completely honest, you know, he was definitely vulnerable in the early stages, not expecting somebody to push out. You know, they say that like whole that adage of, you know, the master swordsman need not fear the second best swordsman, right? It's like he need only fear the man who's never picked up a sword before. Like, this is Londier's debut in PvP as far as we know. And him having this unconventional tactic of sending a couple of units across just to catch you in a vulnerable spot when you only have a couple of units is actually really interesting. It's quite, I think, it's something that is viable, actually, if you know, just need to scout, and it does make your opponent feel like, oh, maybe there's more coming, and there indeed was a lot of the time. Unfortunately, this Goliath will be picked apart. Oh, some very awkward unit control here for Shambler as he walks head first into the Huracan, leaving the Cleric enough time to heal up the Goliath to full, well, half HP. I clicked on the wrong one thinking that was the real one. Just a single Cleric over here, on the other hand, will, pathfinding. And yeah, these Hydras are going to spot that out, I think. But there's quite a lot of units being stacked up over here. Clearly, Londier wants to move out of his base. He doesn't have a crazy amount of defenses, though, is the problem. He does have this bunker, but there's nothing in it. So that's definitely a bit awkward. I'm hearing a lot of stupid sounds of sirens, so we might have to go back to an ad break in a second here. But no, I think maybe they're going a different way. You guys probably won't be able to pick it up in the final recording. I certainly hope not, but it's very silly, very silly. So we do have a third base online. There's no gas. No guys are here. There's a very long distance ridge, and this ridge, you can very easily forget that this ridge even exists because it kind of like blends in. You don't even think about it because usually they're all grouped together. It looks like now there's an attempt at moving the command center elsewhere. Did I miss some harassment? It doesn't look like it. But we do miss some sirens, boys. So here we go. We do have a move. It's an interesting move for sure. Oh, 1 HP left on that particular Hydra. It's an interesting move to like do the fake out as if you like he evacuated his base preemptively. I don't know what possessed him to do that. Reinforcements on this side. We have a war on two fronts. The Hydras are making a lot of headway on the front line. This Cyclops not rallied towards the bridge, and I think that's going to, the ramp rather, that's going to be a huge cost. The huge army over here is also of concern, but if a base trade goes in, we obviously favor the Shambler. He even sends out an array of Vorver cores and some reinforcements, and that is going to crush the army of Londier quite definitively, I think. He has a lot of clerics, but unfortunately he didn't really have a crazy powerful front line, and he took an engagement against Circuith colonies, all the while some other stuff was active as well, and that, I think, is going to, unfortunately for him, be game. So there you go. He can go ahead and attack with his workers. He can make himself feel better. Oh, actually, he's just spinning, so he just wants to kill a single Hydra. If he kills one Hydra with workers, he'll be satisfied. That is probably game. Yes. Okay. He reached the same conclusion that we did. GG is indeed called, and Londier backs out of his first game. Unsuccessful at taking down the Shambler, but you know what? There's a map that he's played before. There's a race that he obviously has played a lot of before, and great. This is a great opportunity to catch people who are normally, you'd think, maybe above your skill level with their pants down, because we're all adapting to the new sort of flow and timing and pacing and stuff, and it's also supposed to be a bit more approachable for the average Joe anyway, because the idea being, hey, you've got you've got a very different exponential scale of how the workers, scale up with their 15-second build time for most races and 12-second if you're Zerg. You've got this whole idea of like, I've got to scale up very slowly in that sense, and then you've got the fights that take longer because the damage is less and the armor and health are more, or whatever, the HP durability stuff is more. So there's all of these factors, we talk about in the latest Big Boys table. We'll talk about it in Crow's Nest coming up and all this other stuff that contribute positively towards the game having longer battles, but not as long as Warcraft 3, obviously. And that does make it more approachable because you no longer instantly lose as soon as the battle resolves. Even when the battles resolve, we ideally want to get to a point where whoever lost that one battle didn't necessarily lose the whole war. They can come back after that, or they're maybe just at a bit of a disadvantage, but it's not over, right? So these are all things that we're thinking about, and I think you saw that Londier was able to trade kind of blow for a while, and despite obviously not being as familiar as the Shambler is with the timings and the game and how the tech tree works and all this other stuff. So interesting stuff. And you know what? You can only improve if you lose a few games first. So cool stuff there. Let's see what the rest of the games have in store for us. And keep in mind, I mean, in unit score, obviously Londier kind of went neck and neck. He's definitely behind in resources. We say behind in structures, presumably because he lost structures. I think that's what contributes to the score. Yeah. But, that's whatever. I think that the early play that could have really defined this is if he was able to hold the Quasilisk at bay with the Maverick when his two Hurricanes were pumping damage onto that first expansion. If that had gone down, this is a very different game. And so that was actually possible because of how long he had to just continuously attack it with a couple Hurricanes. So always nice to see stuff like that. It's quite interesting, I think, to imagine stacking that behavior up and using that and stuff. That was a possible moment that this game could have swung. Let's see what's in store for us in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, we're traveling to Godhead for this next match. It's actually going to be Terran versus Protoss. Cross spawns. Godhead is a very large and I would say probably silly map because it's very different and non-standard in some ways. Like it does the rotational symmetry thing, but obviously you can see it's I mean, if you spawn cross spawns, you're especially left to right, you are guaranteed an incredibly long game pretty much out of the gate. So we'll see how that shapes up. But it looks like we already have Londier going for a double gas harvest. He looks to be, this probably means Fulcrum opener. We are skipping a lot of the games that happened in between the first Maim Street match and this matchup because a lot of them were, I was told to skip. And the one that I wasn't, I think, wasn't worth casting anyway. So I'm not really sure what was going on there. I think maybe because the Shambler will upload his files but not necessarily make corrections preemptively for how stupid Discord is at actually locating those files, you just get into stupid situations, basically, where the, to put it bluntly, Windows and Discord combine together to basically upload your files in the wrong order. And so he was like, yeah, skip like the second game. But what he meant was not the one that was in the order. So it's just, it gets really stupid really quickly. Anyway, we're on Godhead now, and we will see whether the Shambler can scout his opponent. It looks like he will indeed grab him second, so not an incredibly lengthy amount of time necessarily. But when he scouts this position, I guess going Aqua for first is a bit of a gamble, right? Because you don't yet know if he's up here. But because he himself hasn't been scouted yet, maybe he feels like it's probably fine. Now, I don't know if Londier has played on this map before, but if he hasn't, he's probably like, where the fuck am I even supposed to scout? He does have an Idle Mason up here. Presumably he's going to go ahead and grab some of this. He does have a Cyprian first, so that's apparently where his gas was going. I was thinking the early gas probably meant Fulcrum, but it's all right. I'm always a bit surprised. Now, the Scribe will be attacked by the Cyprian, should be killed in relatively short order. There is an Ackmed. Big fan of that. And the Scout is now dispatched to the opposite side. Dude, Londier map hacking. Can you believe that? No, again, this is what you would probably do if you didn't know where your opponent was and you didn't ever play the map before. So you do have Double Gate. This is pretty interesting stuff. As an option, I think the Gateway units are a lot more well-rounded. Or not well-rounded. They are a lot more interesting because they're specialized in a bit of a different capacity, so pretty good. I think you can make a case for pretty much all of the units for whatever reason, whatever purpose they have. Also, I floated the idea of pylon-based tech progression for Protoss, where they'd have a series of different kinds of pylons, and pylon type A would unlock, say, Legionnaire Hierophant from the gateway, and but it would also unlock stuff from other structures too. It wouldn't just be one for the gateway, and then pylon type B might unlock like something completely unrelated. Of course, you would have the ability to do so unanimously or whatever, and by that I mean, like, if, say, there was, like, you unlocked, I don't even know what would, for the sake of argument, this wouldn't happen, but you would imagine, like, Atreus and Amaranth would come out of the gateway too, then, like, maybe under that circumstance, pylon type B would unlock those, and pylon type B would be more expensive, and so it would be a higher tier of a pylon, and that would give you something there where it's like, if you're powered by this, then you get access to the, like, whatever the thing is, so... I feel like there's some potential there, and that way Protoss does actually have some form of a tech-up system without being paralyzed by choice, where they've got like basic structures that don't require any pylon type of any particular kind, and then if you want to get more units out of them or whatever, then that's something that you can do. So, like, you get to augment your existing tech with new pylon types or whatever. So, judging by the screen positions, which we now have as a handy feature, we will see the Shambler targeting this base, it seems. He's going to move his way over there. And it looks like Londier, who already has an expansion, as the Shambler prepares to set his up, is going to probably drop a treasury over here as well, and reveal that I have busted that tile, apparently. So that's a good... It's a lot harder to spot those now that we're using town center markers everywhere, and so that's my excuse, but obviously it's just silly. Don't worry. I do test my stuff all the time. And yeah, we get a second bunker out, so he's in a pretty good spot defensively, I think. Although, really, the problem is he's not taking control of any of the pathways into his base by ground, so he can definitely get attacked pretty early. Now, this gas-only base being over here is actually pretty good for him, because I really highly doubt that the Shambler will scout that. I think he's going to see if he took the in-ground base, which is what Shambler decided to take, and when he sees that's not there, he might figure out that there's a base down here, or intuit that, or just come down here and see what is in the main. So his forces have arrived. 3 Drakodins. The Ecclesiast face tanking is not a great idea. Now, the Mason moving over here is going to be potentially interesting. Like, I'm not actually sure. That could have been wandering, but I feel like we already corrected that case. So that might have been him tasking him over there so that he could build the base. And now the bunker is over here. It's completely empty, so I'm not sure what it's doing. It is distracting the Drakodins. The Drakodins are still busy trying to attack the bunker. Okay, they have switched over to the Hurricanes. And a Zealot has already fallen. And yeah, look at this. He's really paranoid about what's in that bunker. That was an excellent mind game. The bunker, by the way, is completely empty. So, yeah, definitely a bit spooky. Now, he does have some confidence that, oh, it's just going to die anyway because I got it to burning. The Hurricanes are onto the Drakodins instead of the Zealots, so there's still a front line. The Cleric's trying to heal that Huracan. It's actually working out pretty well. Yeah, he's an unkillable Ackmed King now. Unbelievable play. Unbelievable. Trying to target down the Clerics. It's not going to work. Ackmed cannot be stopped. And there he goes. Honestly, what a fucking man. What a monumental man. And the Clerics even blocked that last Drakodin in for good measure. Fuck out of my base. That's what Londier just said, using Ackmed as an instrument. There you go. That's the title of this, is Ackmed as an instrument. I just need that to be the thumbnail too. Just fucking 4 clerics surrounding a single Ackmed. I like that. I like that a lot, honestly. That's perfect. Well, what does Shambler do? He had a lot of money floating. Instantly going to go ahead and reorder some more Drakodins and see what he can accomplish now that he has his base set up. He does have more workers than his opponent, or actually he doesn't have more workers than his opponent, but it felt like he had way better saturation on his natural, whereas Londier has full saturation on that base. He is starting to get a quarry over here. He has kept a single geyser. Obviously maybe doesn't want to transfer workers in case there's somebody there spotting him out. But another gateway force is on the way. I think on maps that are as big as this, there is some bias towards heavy air, but I'm also noticing that Londier isn't super interested in like locking this area down, even though that's the main ramp, and then he doesn't necessarily want to lock the ramp over here down. Maybe he just doesn't know about them because it's a new map to him. That is very likely, but yeah. Suffice it to say, I think... Oh no! Is it going to be scouted? Of course it is. Dude, how unlucky do you have to be? Well, I don't know if the Shambler recognizes it. Oh, yeah, he does. Clearly he does. Well, no, I guess he just A-moved his whole force over here. But now he's figured out, oh, hey, the jig is up, dude. You got a single Mason over here. Focusing down the Ecclesiast is a good shout. But unfortunately, there's a lot more Dracodons where that came from. So, oh, shit. Stand back. It's a graphic that gets cut off. Yeah, there's not really that much here, unfortunately, for Londier. He's going to have to retreat or just lose everything. He does get the treasury out, so it might be able to hug the top left, but I think you can still attack that with Dracodons. So what is the response going to be? He's going for a second Fulcrum. He's got more Goliaths on the way, more Clerics as well, which is a good move. He does have all of his units down here situated in front of these two bunkers that are completely empty. And then he's got only one bunker of these two full. He could reposition them, obviously, over in this direction. He's still trying to hide the treasury from the Shamblers, who's just like, fuck this, I'm just going to go attack. Which is the good move, because you don't really want to deal with that, obviously. Might just land over here and start building a quarry again, which would be pretty funny, but and also perhaps a little bit ballsy. I'm not really sure what is he hiding his units over here? Is he not anticipating this is the attack move area? He's going to go ahead and try the bunker tactic again. Unfortunately, he didn't queue the land order for the second bunker, which actually has units in it. So that's awkward. Don't worry, here come the Cyprians. Now they're starting to attack. Single Dracodon goes down. Second Dracodon goes down. The Ecclesiast is not going to be too helpful without any front line. And yeah. All right, well, the attack force gets driven back. Only one Mason going down while building this Fulcrum. The bunker's being reproduced. And the... Yeah, okay, the Dracodons are being forced away. And the quarry is being built over here, even though that's the attack pattern, the attack pathway that has been taken by the Shambler multiple times. A bit funny, honestly, a bit funny. Just needs one more hit on that Dracodon, but it sadly is not going to happen. And the Goliaths are actually still chasing, which is a bit of a bad idea, I think, for probably obvious reasons. Oh, he's still hunting him down, dude. He's still really chasing. At any point, Shambler could just kill this guy because he's not got that much health. Where does he ever... Where does he ever go? When does he ever look? Does he ever look? Alright, see ya. It doesn't actually look like his screen position is being synchronized to me. But it might be that I just can't read it over something else. No, I think for whatever reason his screen position is not synced in this replay. I don't know why. That seems like a bug. But hey, this one healthy Goliath will be able to kill a Dracodon. Oh my god, he stays alive. Clerics are the enemy of the Shambler, honestly. He is taking a third base, meanwhile also going up to Sequestered Icon and a couple of lattices to start spending his cash. I think the macros slipped for both of the players a few times, but right now Londier is the one who's leading the charge with the floated money. Could definitely drop into the command center and go ahead and start, he's capping his gas. So that's a good move, and he can start to afford maybe the Atlas tier. We will see. He's repairing up the treasury. Could drop a couple bunkers over in this location. It technically is possible to come out here and start abusing the terrain over here, but I never really thought of this base as something that people would take in this situation, so I think it's probably fine if that's the case. However, the Shambler is just going to go straight for the main base, perhaps recognizing that the Londier in this situation can't realistically defend every single place that he wants to defend. So the Vultures will get some pretty good map coverage with the Spider Mines. The Witness does detect the secondary base over here with a barracks and maybe probably saw the bunkers, but also since you can see what's in the garrison when you have detection, he might not have spotted, or he might have spotted that there is actually nothing in them. The other gas on the bottom left, the gas only there has been taken. So Londier is doing a pretty good job of taking a bunch of bases. He's not doing a great job of making sure that he's defending them or has an army in the general vicinity. We'll see what he wants to do next, but I think at this point, yeah, okay, we clearly have to fix the wandering over here, so that's something that I'm sure Veek will take notice of when he invariably watches this. This is a pretty good stack of Dracodons, though, and even though they would be reposted by Cyprians, I don't know that they would have been heavily effective or whatever. Like, they can just walk up here and start killing stuff, basically. So he sees that the bunkers are empty. He's just going to go ahead and start focusing them down, despite the fact that a bunch of units are walking down here. Now, the fact that the Clerics are asynced from the rest of the army is a pretty big deal. The Goliath is going to go down. Mavericks might be able to kill the Zealot from this area, but it doesn't look like it. And all these bunkers are completely empty. And I guess he's just going to use them for mind games again. The empty bunker trick really does fucking get me, man. I'm just flabbergasted every single time I see that. Now, the witness is over here still, right? I think. Maybe. He can put the Goliaths in the bunker at the very least, and they can indeed respond. Now, here come the more bunkers, which, in theory, the Shambler should be focusing on. He's actually back at his base right now, so he's not seeing this all unfold. And, what is going on, bro? I'm wondering what Londier is doing. But, yeah, that bunker goes down. The reservoir is being focused. And 1,000 minerals is what Londier has in the bank right now, so it could definitely be slamming out more units, maybe taking another expo, doing something else. He's got vultures over here just scouting around. He's got the mines placed. He's got this as force he seems to have forgotten about, and his natural is indeed under duress. He's actually attacking with the masons, which is a bold move. He could evacuate them to this base and then start taking up a base. This is where the witness went as well. It seems pretty clear to me that this base is maybe something you should think about giving up for now. But not Londier. He lets it be pride from his cold dead dad. Dude, what the fuck? What's he doing? You know what? I respect it. He's landing the bunker now. He's trying to box him in. So now the Shambler has to commit to getting out. He's probably... Oh, never mind. There's a ramp there, so... Absolutely pranked. This is my map. You'd think I would know that. But I haven't seen that many games on it, so... It was all a blur. Another round of units coming over here. They'll actually meet the attack force that puzzlingly... or the squad over there that hasn't actually been used for whatever reason. That's Zealot going down now. But there's still plenty of Drakodins here. There appears to be, what? That's 8 Drakodins, so that will be enough. They will kill a single one of them. The clerics are over here, but there's not enough of them, and here comes some Mavericks to reinforce. What I think would help Londier a lot is if he actually rallied his production to whatever area he needed them in. And I think, you know, he's going up to a 4th Fulcrum right now. Like, he has production, but even with this attack force, like, he's still got income as well. So he can obviously reset that base. He still has the gas down here, although he's not harvesting a crazy amount yet. He actually has this selected. Okay, he's going to go for the quarry. So he's cleared house over there, and he does still have a couple of workers down here he can use. Let's see what he wants to do with all that info. Meanwhile, having to respond to this threat, absolutely unreasonable. How could you, Shambler? So there you go. He's going to go ahead and sack it. I actually don't know why you would... Maybe he really likes the idea of doing that for whatever reason, but I wonder what the goal is there. He's going to lose the cleric. We were thinking about ways to make some of these units more interesting or whatever, and I think that the Acantors having missile interception the same way that the Empyrean and the Valkyrie do would probably be pretty neat. So that's probably something that we'll think about. Now here comes the hold here. Londier looking to focus down the units, or at least make a stand over here to perhaps like focus down the envoy so that the Acantors are grounded a bit more. And he is actually doing a pretty good number of damage onto the Goliaths and stuff, getting the clerics in on the action as well. Not great focus fire, but he'll still pop... oh, no, never mind. It will not be popped, unfortunately. A couple more Goliaths over here offering their fucking services. There you go. Now he can pull back. I think if he actually hit the envoy there, just to slow down the Acantors, you probably can't kill it. But if he had focused his Goliaths on that, then that at least delays the amount of time that you have before the threat really kicks in. Because then he can't really use it to disrupt the rest of your economy or whatever. But at this point, it does look pretty obvious that he's on the back foot. He's reset up a base here, but he's down to like 1.5 if we count worker efficiency. Shambler has more than twice his worker count, or almost twice his worker count at this point, and hasn't really been harassed or attacked. Like you can see, all of his bases are completely undefended. This one, I guess you could abuse with a drop or something. This one is completely undefended, and only now is he starting to build stuff, but it's not even... that he's just trying to spend his minerals because he's not been good at that yet. So a couple of vultures over here. This is the kind of raid that you could really have done super well with. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. The envoy is here with a couple of Cantors, and that will be the end of the vultures, and that will be that. Here comes a Demiurge, though, because in the meantime, there's been a lot of other silliness. I've actually got a revision in mind for the Demiurge that's going to be pretty exciting for people, I think, when they see it. It's going to make it a little bit more interesting anyway, because right now it relies on 50% HP breakpoint, which is kind of invisible, unless it's a building, and then maybe it's not as invisible, but in most cases it's invisible. And I would like to change it to be a little bit more about other compositional things. So Witness still spying. This one Dracoden still in this general area. Plenty of map control here. And Shambler even responding to some of those threats. Does have a single Goliath. He's even stolen a Cleric, so now he can heal. And here's the Acantors as well. So up the ramp is a pretty good defensible position here for Londier. I mean, the Sims are slowly splitting because of the Cyclops changes. But here comes the Envoy as well, just distracting people. And the Demiurge is able to fire off and steal some of this stuff. Yeah, he steals the Cleric and everything, dude. Absolute brutality. It's just when you have such low unit counts, for sure, we're definitely seeing the efficacy of the Demiurge slowly turning the tide by stealing a bunch of your units. I would like that to be a bit more interactive and like maybe doesn't care as much about like the whole 50% HP thing, right? So I have ideas for that. I'm not going to reveal them just yet because we're busy casting a game right now, bro. Even though that does seem like this game is on the outs. We're kind of coming to a conclusion here. Hey, these bunkers actually do have stuff in them, or at least one of them does. So there is that. And then I think maybe this is the part where we see the bunker get controlled by the Demiurge. And Londier was actually asking questions about that. He didn't realize that was... He wasn't sure if that was intentional, and I had to let him know that, yeah, it was. It's just like we've inherited that from transports in general, so that's a big deal. But yeah, all the workers dead. Absolutely destroyed. But you know what? This big map and all the expansions, it showed me that Londier knows how to, at the very least, try to manage and get to a point where he has got a big enough economy. He built a lot of production structures, you know, he didn't make a lot of traditional first-time mistakes. So I thought that was pretty good. GG is called. And really, I think what he needed to do here is try to approach the Shambler's base, put him on the back foot. That's what he did in the first game and it worked out pretty well. So that is going to be it for this particular game, but we do have one more to cast over on the same map, so stay tuned. And we're back. Once again on Godhead. Once again cross spawns, but this time it's vertical. Let's see what's up. We got Londier against the Shambler. TVZ this time around. So we actually saw a bunch of different interesting matchups here. The full replay set, which is posted on the Discord server. If you ever want to watch these replays yourself or whatever, because I'm not casting all of them, you can do that. So obviously check that out. But the main thing here is definitely the idea that we've seen a couple of different ones. Like there was one where Londier plays as Protoss. There's just a couple of them that you know, that are different, that are a bit varied in that respect. So we're going to see what the Shambler wants to do here. And we're also going to see what Londier wants to do here. A barracks opener once again. Both scouting actually the opposite way. So just like this map has that rotational symmetry aspect, we're seeing a similar rotation happening over here in the minimap. Shout out to, in general, I think it was, it might have been DF. I can't remember if it's DF or Veek now because it was a little bit ago. But we have instant minimap update. So that's pretty nice. And I had to test that to make sure it wasn't causing any desyncs because we were worried that maybe it would. That's why we didn't pull that trigger on that sooner. But the minimap will update unit positions in pretty much every frame now, I believe. Instead of it was very delayed before. So big fan about that. That also was slower in multiplayer than in single player. So just to give you an idea of what the fuck was going on there. So it will be a Quasrock first. No gas harvested here for the Shambler just yet. And he's getting to the point where he's fully saturated, baseline saturation on his minerals. Now, meanwhile, there is an open question as to what the move will be here. A bunker first could mean a couple of different things. When Londier scouts his opponent's position, which... Did he? It looked like the worker went back after it scouted this side. He doesn't want to believe he's cross spawn, I guess. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe he didn't know that was a spawn. You know, first time playing on the map and he gets cross spawn both games. Like that's actually kind of good because it means that you get to stay alive a little bit longer, most likely, because the distances are a bit different. If you spawn like left, like mid left and top right or top middle, then you can actually get owned a bit faster. So. Trying to set up a makeshift wall here. Again, not really guarding the ramp up into your base, which is all the way down here. And nor are you guarding this side, which is a little bit closer. So this is a bit of an interesting position to be in anyway. What will the Shambler do? He's actually scouting out for an expansion here, and indeed there will be a treasury being put down. So there is that. And in case anybody's watching this and doesn't know what a treasury does, it is like a command center in terms of it being able to build the add-ons that the command center can build, and the treasury also can't build... you can return resources to it, but it can't build masons. So that's the main difference here. We are also seeing something that I had DF do, which was have the pattern be consistent. So you can always anticipate where the mason is going, and there's no more RNG there. So that's a pretty big deal. It's actually helping him stay alive here while he builds this treasury. Somehow this treasury will actually produce long enough for the bunker with one Maverick to land here. Although, actually, he's only 2 hits away. He might actually get the kill. Oh, 10 health. Absolute fucking robbery. Utter devastation and destruction. Might as well GG right now, dude. But there's a Larvos going down. There's an expansion already up, capping the geyser on both bases. So I imagine this is either going to be a 2-base tech up, or it's going to be a pivot into maybe Zork is? I'm trying to think why would you cap 2 geysers if you were going to go Hydrock? Like, the delay that you have in that case is pretty steep. So he's now able to afford a Zorkiz if that's what he wants to go for. Could very well be the case. He could also just be conserving that and taking the gas for being able to tech up fast. We shall see. Fulcrum going down for Londier, meanwhile. He has not capped a single geyser, but that's okay. He's been saturating his bases. Obviously, it takes a little bit more time. And the Quasis will indeed absolutely brutalize that Mason. But not before he can scout the Hydrock Den, if he noticed it. Which maybe he did, but it didn't look like it. We actually see his screen position now. I don't know why it was broken the first time. It definitely was, though. I didn't see a turquoise box anywhere. So maybe we can, like, the score screen had the wrong colors, so maybe there's some bug there that we can help investigate, but it definitely seemed a bit confusing. The Shambler definitely has a pretty thriving economy here. No quarry on the treasury just yet, so that's definitely going to be a bit awkward. And honestly, I'm not really sure. One of the things I'm thinking about is whether or not Zerg need the same worker training time as the other races, but the larva training time is going to allow them to build more of them anyway. So, like, that's why I'm thinking maybe increasing the build time isn't going to be a huge issue. I was thinking you need the build time to be slower or shorter than the other races because you use them for building. And so if you lose them or you use them for building all the time or whatever, then you're delaying your economy pretty heavily. Or each worker lost means more, basically. But because larva exist, that might be fine. You might actually not have much of a worry. But we'll have to wait and see. It's something I am aware of. Zerg automatically can get more workers anyway because of larva. And that's one of the reasons why you definitely want to pressure them a little bit. So maybe making it so that they take a bit longer to create would probably be, like, safe to do. Like, at this point, Shambler has, like, an insane amount of extra economy. So, you know, he's taking another base. He's got more than 10 more workers than his opponent. His opponent isn't saturating his natural, so we're already going to see a pretty heavy advantage there. And he is indeed banking a lot of gas, so he will even be able to get tier 2 pretty soon. And that would be irrespective of the cost there, I think. So the Quasilisk is just checking stuff out, scouts the treasury. And he's going to walk right into these 2 bunkers. Absolute devastation. But what does he do with this information? There's a bunker over here as well. Has a Cyclops in it. There's that. You know what? I haven't seen any Matadors. Maybe we'll see some Matadors this game. I might have skipped over all the games where Matadors were built. Unwittingly. Since that was something that was obviously Londier's claim to fame in some ways. A couple of Quasis will get absolutely smacked down, and another bunker will get started. No shot at a sort of aggressive move or attack coming into this. The Masons seem awfully confused about moving over here, probably because of this barracks placement. they don't realize they have to go all the way around. Or maybe it's this bunker actually fucking them up too. That could also be the case. Looks like, yeah, when tasking them on the far away one, apparently that fixes it. So that's just Brood War pathing in general. Good Cyprian positioning over here. Should give him the ability to get a couple of kills. Indeed he will. He'll lose a single one, but not too bad. Ooh, slapped. Okay, well, I'm not sure if he caught the burrow there, but it doesn't really matter. It's one quasi. I'll say it boldly right now. What is one quasi going to do anyway? So, still no quarry anywhere. He's got double treasury, but no quarry. Kind of treating these as gas-only bases for the time being. We'll have to see what he wants to do about that. The Aryl Iris is already done, and he's going to go into Izcag, so the Shambler is going to be pretty well equipped. He took this base, but he hasn't really started mining it at all, so that's a bit silly. Surely he will now order them to... Yeah, there you go. Great. So, while the Shambler does that, and makes me feel awfully silly for watching him play, the benefit here is that he obviously has that economic advantage because, again, the worker count is way higher for him compared to the Terran player. More than double, still. Now we have the quarries, though, so that will change relatively soon because of the fact that the quarries will offer up additional production queues for Masons. And this barracks can go ahead and provide some units there. We do have a single Circuith, as well as a couple Hydras, a couple Quasis. So, and then there's plenty of units over here as well. The Tier 2 is being actuated using Izcag and, of course, the Gorgel Swamp mutation. So that's a pretty big deal. And that means that we're probably going to see some Bactylisks pretty soon. Yeah, it's all well and good that he's taken these bases, but he definitely should have saturated them sooner, I feel like. He would have been in a very different position in that situation. He's only capped a single one of his geysers, too. A couple Cyclopses run down here. They are only good for a single Quasilisk kill, but they do maybe soften up some of the others. And I think the Shambler recognizes there's no way that was the only set of units here, so there must be more. And indeed there are. The response is a little bit late from the Shambler. He's not paying too much attention here. He's lost those units pretty quickly. He has moved more units over, and he's getting a Circuith. But there's no way you can take this aggressive positioning unless you walk past this, which maybe Londier wants to do. But first he's going to go ahead and provoke some of the responses. I'm still waiting for those two Quasis to backstab a little bit. But in this particular case, it looks like Shambler's not too concerned about being cost efficient. Kagrilisks are coming out here. I think this might have been before Tier 2 was adjusted too heavily. So the Kagrilisk is pretty fucking lethal right now. You know, it's firing off 4 shots of 6. So I feel like that's definitely less or more damage than it was before. So yeah, the Vorvikors are going to go ahead and dive in. There wasn't really that much over here anyway. I think even without the Vorvs, you'd probably see that cleaned up. So Tier 2 being achieved in such an environment, well, I feel like maybe Tier 2 was already adjusted by then. But anyway, what I'm thinking anyway is the idea, like, yeah, because this is definitely the case, because the Aryl Iris now unlocks the Izcag directly. So that's something that, oh, look, we know whose birthday this was. It's one of those things that you definitely get the opportunity to see, like, you see it. You just see it way sooner in that respect. This wasn't the case before, because the Tier 2.5 and Tier 3.5 structures were removed before these games were played. I still think that the Kagrilisks will be ineffective at hitting these targets over here just because of the bunkers and the Cyprians that are within them. Some units are over here. Dude, the biggest problem is that the fucking eggs dislocate your units sometimes, which is a pretty big meme. Unit regression could probably take longer than 2 seconds, though. I'm actually kind of thinking, if the unit regression took the same time that the unit actually needs to train, or like maybe half of that time or something, that would probably be fine. But it might also be better if the regression is consistent, so that there's always like say a 5-second delay or something. Because 2 seconds feels a bit too slow in the current setup. Now, there are a bunch of units over here defending. Especially the Vorvikor is getting absolutely chewed through here. I don't think the Kagrilisks are going to be able to do too much either, yeah. And there you go. See you later, dude. Goliath's over here trying to respond. Another base being taken. See, Londier does expand. Like, he's actually out-expanding Shambler in most of these games that we've seen. Or at least staying even. That first game, notwithstanding, of course. Gonna go ahead and drop a cap over here, instantly going for some bunkers. Does he have tier 2? I don't think so. He's banking up some gas. He still needs about 150 before he can deploy that. Needs 500 of each resource for that. Yeah, he still hasn't really fully saturated this base to begin with, so taking another base is good, though. It's just a matter of whether or not he can hold on to it. And these bases are notoriously difficult to hold on to just because of this shit over here. You can put, like, sentinels down, and then, you know, you're kind of helping yourself out there, but Zethicor burrowing around in a few spots. Not a bad idea. Basically a Zerg version of Spider Mines, except you don't blow up. Just laugh at them. Some units being tasked over here. It's a useful spot, I guess. Just tell your units to climb, honestly. Climbing features. The first 3D RTS that isn't in space. Not named Homeworld, right? Still haven't played that game. Everything I've seen about it does not seem very compelling, but, you know, it holds a lot of a special place in a lot of people's hearts for whatever reason. It looks like we are getting a Zorkis. We're getting a longer game here. I'm seeing the Shambler bank a lot of minerals. I highly suspect he'll take some of these gas-only bases pretty soon. He's establishing his 4th, a Nidus even coming out. So, yeah. Not sure how I feel about Nidus being available so soon, but I like that the Masons that are spawning in here are enough in this case. Oh no! What will you do? Oh, there you go. He only killed 2 workers. Fine. Acceptable. Kagros getting absolutely delivered upon by some bullets. And this Vorvikor, I don't know what it's doing. Where's it going? It's just scouting out for bases, I think. Oh yeah! That's great. What the fuck? Okay. Never mind. It's all fine. A barracks being put down here. You know, Londier likes to put production in a few different spots. It's probably not a terrible idea, but trying to keep it all in mind is a bit hard. The Atlas is going down. 1,200 minerals now for Londier. Could be dropping 3 command centers, or indeed going for some other units, some more units. Now, the one thing that is kind of interesting about the whole discussion about Droleth build times and all this other stuff is, like, if the Zerg is building workers, they aren't building combat units. That's always the push and pull of the race. So, in theory, if they're building a lot of workers, it's actually something you're supposed to be able to respond to in that respect. This bunker is going to go down. There's still one more sending off shots every now and then. Doing pretty effective damage over here, but unfortunately, the reinforcements are all women, and women do not kill Zerg. It's just not how they work. Unless they're in the air and the woman is a Valkyrie, I guess. Oh, I guess Silver Tongues can also kill Zerg. So never mind. There's a couple of other options. But for the most part, women are not very helpful. I'm sure we can all agree on that one. And for more information, you can sign up to my course at www.whateverandrewtateswebsite.com/. This is a joke. Where's the Nidus anyway? I don't actually get the connection when I'm a witness, but it looks like it's over here. Not a bad move to go for a Nidus. Shutting down that 4th base is pretty bad for Londier, but he has a lot of minerals, so he could be going for maybe captaincies. He could go for, you know, maybe, I don't know, anything that would be useful. He has got the command center up. A couple Goliaths over here tickling him. I guess I can make the egg collision size the same as the Zethicor, and that will fix that particular interaction. Because that's the smallest ground unit that can actually regress into an egg anyway, so. Like, the smaller ones are like really Rokor or whatever, but they don't have morphs. You don't have to worry about that. He's got a lot of units. Londier builds a lot of units, but he, at this point, definitely needs to spend his minerals a bit more efficiently. Don't mind that. That was an egg getting culled out of existence. Yeah, this whole middle of the map, this roller skates, has been equipped by the Shambler. He is not interested in ceding ground from the middle. There will be a captaincy being deployed. Couple of machine shops out of his fulcrums. Those will help as well. You can get some phalanxes out. And we even have some, I presume to be sentinels, yeah, being deployed over here. On this side, he's taking that gas only. I'm not sure if Shambler is aware of this. He scouted out, he sort of almost scouted out this one. But other than that, yeah, nothing too crazy. He still needs 1,800 gas to hit tier 3. I imagine he doesn't need to do that, but it's a possibility. He hasn't actually expanded in a little bit. So, actually, you know, in theory, Londier can take more cost-efficient trades using things like phalanxes and sentinels and madcaps and, of course, apostles, especially in their current form. And that can sort of force the Shambler to take a more prolonged path towards victory. But at this point, I think he's just going to seek to overwhelm his opponent. He has Matroliths. He has a lot of Vorvercores. And, I mean, there's a bunch of bunkers over here, only 2 of them being staffed and 1 of them not fully. There's not too many units here to respawn. I mean, there's some Goliaths lying around. Phalanx and Madrigal over here, but they're pretty heavily out of position. And the lack of using rally points is probably hurting him more than anything here, because now his forces are going to actually block each other in to some of these locations. Now, he's trying to move the Phalanx over here so he can get sieged. But, yeah, at this point... Well, nothing has happened yet. He's got this barracks sort of like scouting around and stuff. He has no idea that there's a giant mass of units forming at his doorstep, and he hasn't even sieged this Phalanx, and it can get doven upon pretty quickly by Vorvs. Some Sentinels being put down over here. That's not a bad idea. He's going to go ahead and build some more. Captaincy over here. First unit comes in. Will he siege the Phalanx? Hey, no, oh, there you go. Figured it out. I'm not even sure what it just targeted with the Parasite, but it was not enough. He can obviously do it now. He's got to be a bit careful with it. Vilgoricors are here to consume the corpses, though, so there you go. There was a big Parasite, I think. I'm not really sure what that was. Oh, he's got multiple Matroliths, so that's why. Well, the Goliaths are still doing pretty well at keeping this force away. The Madrigal definitely needs to be here. Phalanx down. Units over here getting owned. Okay, the Madrigal is in the right mode now. It can take care of the Rillarocors, but it's starting to decollide. Oh no! Absolute annihilation. At this whole time, we haven't even needed... Lovely. We love to see it. This entire time, we haven't even seen the left flank get attacked. I actually think the Sentinels should be okay, but if there's any micro over here, the Matrolith can obviously get some mileage. He actually decollides his own units and gets absolutely slapped as a result. All the Sentinel spam has helped out quite a bit. There wasn't really any artillery, and there wasn't really crazy management of the Matrolith either. But this flank is the main point of contention here. We got a couple of barracks or bunkers over here with no units in them. And it looks like the Vilgoricor is actually just going to get focused down. Yeah, okay. The Shambler reconsidering his options. This Quasilisk hasn't stopped the space from going down, which is really funny. He's just now realized, oh yeah, I have this space. Okay. I still have some options. It's possible for me to maybe hold on a little bit. If I can get that gas up, if I can maybe cap my own geyser in my main. I don't know. As maybe the average player would look at this and think, oh shit, this is really bad. He's actually in an okay spot. Like, I didn't even realize he had this base. He could be harvesting gas from it, of course, but he can also just continuously pump out phalanxes for the crowd control, and he can obviously maybe staff these bunkers a bit more heavily. He can maybe start forming a bit of a wall to like reduce the amount of targets that you can have. That was useful. Some more worker transfers happening over here. I can't remember if that's supposed to be pathable or not. It's not. Okay, I'll have to fix that later. This is supposed to be like moved up 1 tile basically, so that it's not possible to move units through there. Obviously a bit silly, but whatever. Brood War, you really need to pay a huge amount of attention to the minutia of map making in Brood War if you want your map to actually be symmetrical. It's a bit silly. Now, captaincies are spinning, and Apostle is on the way. And Madrigal seems to have somehow gotten stuck behind here. My bet is... Wait, did it just... Okay, you can actually just path through that. That makes sense. I was going to say he got owned by some workers or whatever, but... He's trying to put the Madrigal in the bunker, which is a good move. But your units are in the way, dude. Let me in. He has a couple of Heracles over here. That's not too bad. He's starting to build some Sentinels out on this direction, which is a good move. And the Zerg are massing up at the left side, which is where all these Sentinels are. And unfortunately for Londier, he has not continued to build them. He actually doesn't have a crazy amount of money anymore. He spent his bank through. What's Shambler been up to in the meantime? He has a Matravel Nest, obviously. We saw the fruits of that labor. But only now is he setting up a 5th base and a 6th base at the same time. And not saturating them just yet. Mostly just using them as extra extra production structures, I imagine. Yeah, he's just added them to his control group and started to macro. He's got a fearsome number of units. And there's not really any dedicated crowd control or anything over there. Obviously, you could just flip this on its head by using the one apostle. The battle is on. The Sentinels are firing. We'll have to wait and see what the reaction is here from Londier. He's watching the battle. He's now trying to grab some units that, again, were not rallied anywhere, right? And, yeah, unfortunately, the Sentinels are already falling before he's able to respond too heavily. The apostle could be used. I don't know where it went, actually. Doesn't seem to be anywhere near here, though. Probably got ordered to the right side. And, yeah, the bunkers are trying to be repaired, but they were surrounded by Ruler Rokors before they could get surrounded by Masons. And here come the Convalisks to add more parasite to the problem. Yeah, it's happening, bro. It's definitely starting. Don't you just love a brood spawn? Love yourselves some brood spawn here. Where did the apostle go? Oh shit, there's another force on that side. Oh, I hear it. Oh, never mind, that's a different one. Where did the other one go? A single madrigal in there, okay. Good move, honestly. Yeah, this is just going to be another last stand of the Alamo here. He's got a bunch of Sentinels in this spot. Could try maybe like a cheeky, let me save up to tier 3 and start getting like, you know, I don't know, something mega, but... Because you have to remember, at this point, tier 3 has not been adjusted, so it still has really crazy lethality compared to normal. I think the Quasilisk that was over here got killed by a Sentinel or something, maybe. A long time ago, perhaps. Or never. I don't know. I thought maybe the Shambler figured out that that base was there, but I guess he didn't. Just more Sentinels being put down over here makes sense. And yeah, what can you do over here? He's going for nukes. I respect that, but he has no star pad, so he can't really evacuate his base conventionally. He'll just walk past them. Do it. Absolutely silly. What are you doing? That didn't work out. Aha! He's getting tickled over here. Oh no! The Vilgoricore is decolliding. Honestly, you should just say, oh no, the Vilgoricore, because of how stupid it looks. The Madrigal in the bunker is actually pretty legit. Dude, he's in your command center. You can't allow this. There you go. He's dead. Finally. Dude, the Madrigal in a bunker is a really good strat, though. Especially considering the root spawn. He just needs some backup. Not enough phalanxes. And I think that's going to probably be it. He kind of walled himself in here. Londier wasn't able to use rally points to his advantage, and nor was he really able to get a base layout that worked out super well. At this point, he did make Shambler have to actually work for it and take more bases and stuff to break him. But at this, you can see here the resources are clearly not needing to be spent. So, oh my god. Well, they died. I wonder what air units were even consumed for that. I guess it was like his own air units, probably Nathicores and stuff. If he could have used the Apostle, he definitely could have gotten himself out of the situation. But didn't end up happening. And it would have been stupid anyway, so... At the very least, he got to get Zerg here'd. His Atlas goes down, that's a pretty big blow. You know, so was losing all of his other bases, of course, but... There you go, he wants to try to kill units with that, but it's not quite gonna work out. Oh, there you go. Now he's thinking, send us off, dude. There you go, the nuke pops. Absolute travesty. Absolute destruction. At least he got to see that. His nuke did get to kill some units. That's pretty good. Now he just wants to cockroach his way to a victory, if possible. Spoiler, not going to happen. But all right, well, there you go. That was Londier's first showing. Not being able to take a game off of the Shambler, from what we saw anyway, is fine. You gored a secret base? That's a good question. Oh my god, the Shambler with the shade. There's no way you could get silent desynced anymore. I have told him it so many times. Absolute rude. Rude dude. But yeah. That is going to be it. Yeah. I was pretty sure that it would have seen it too, but it didn't. So yeah, he's realized he's dead. We are going to see Shambler eventually put 2 and 2 together, I think. Oh, never mind. It'll just be GG called. Honestly, if Londier uses rallies, I think he'll be in a really strong position. Like, that'll definitely help him out quite a bit. If he's able to get a bit more familiar with the map so that he can lay out where his base is. I mean, neither Maim Street nor Godhead are actually, like, incredibly balanced maps, I think. I mean, Maim Street is pretty funny, so I definitely want to keep it in because I think some funny games could happen on it. And as we get, like, the time to kill and the pacing of the battles right and the pacing of the tech tree scale up and stuff, it's actually going to be pretty solid. So I think that's probably fine. But, like, I want to keep that in there. Godhead is definitely really wacky because there's a huge amount of variance with how long the games can go realistically or how much conflict there can be and stuff. But anyway, you can see here, like, you know, he was able to do some pretty good stuff. He obviously expanded a lot, but he didn't saturate his base too heavily. He took a while to get those quarries operational, but still built the treasuries instead of the CCs. So, like, he didn't really fully use those bases super heavily, even though he took them. If he can get on top of that, and if he can use rally points for his production structures, he'll just have way less of a constrained, like, layout for his base. Of course, neither of the maps that we saw in this castover had crazy build space in the mains, so that probably doesn't contribute too positively to it. But that's something that I observed anyway. But yeah, happy to have another person to be able to say that we did a castover for. Hopefully he doesn't feel too bad because he was saying stuff like I'm an uncastable Wood League player or whatever. I don't think so. I think there's some simple fixes you can do, and then there's some general, like, just get more familiar with the game. And hopefully we see you in a week or whatever with another round of castover games, and you're absolutely demolishing Shambler. It could happen. You were, especially in that first game that we casted, it was closer than you may have thought. So, cool. And always like to cast more people. So if you're somebody who hasn't played yet, and you want to join this fucking menagerie of people who have been casted, you know, the rogues gallery, so to speak, the veritable who's who of CMBW players that get featured on this channel, well, you know where to go. You know what to do. Jump into the Discord server, and I'll see you guys there. Peace!